Prime Field.
What if the player who saves UConn's next title run isn't one of the portal names everybody's screaming about? Azzi Fudd has gone to Dallas as the number 1 pick, and with her goes 17.7 points per game, 117 made threes, and the kind of shooting gravity that warped entire defenses. So here's the real question. With the portal closing in days, is Geno Auriemma about to miss the perfect replacement because everybody's too busy chasing the obvious names? Welcome back to Prime Field. Today we're not doing the headline portal stars everybody already knows. We're doing the hidden gems of the scorers, wings, and matchup weapons who actually fit UConn's system, Gino's standards, and the Sarah Strong era. And that matters because replacing Azzi Fudd is not just about swapping in 18 points. It's about replacing spacing, IQ, trust, and somebody defenses are terrified to lose. So I've got 5 names, but I'm also ranking them by one thing that matters most in stores. Can they survive Gino's famous "What's Wrong With You" transfer test? And by the end, I'll tell you the one name I think UConn should call first, even if fans aren't talking about her enough. Here's the debate. A lot of fans here replace Azzi Fudd and immediately think, just go get the biggest scorer available. But that's too simple. UConn doesn't just need a bucket getter, they need a gravity generator. When Fudd was on the floor, defenders were face-guarding her, hugging her around screens, overhelping to her side. That opened up everything for Sarah Strong, who exploded for 18.4 points and 7.7 boards, because the floor stayed wide. The second that spacing disappeared, we saw the problem. Against South Carolina, UConn's offense shrank, the paint got crowded, and suddenly every possession looked harder. That's why this portal search is sneaky complicated. Gino's offense needs players who can read cuts, make quick decisions, defend, and not turn every possession into freelancing. UConn led the nation in field goal percentage and had an elite assist-to-turnover identity. So no, this is not just best stats wins. It's who can shoot enough to bend the floor, defend enough to stay on the floor, and think fast enough to earn Gino's trust. And that brings us to the 5 names. If you want the most UConn-coded transfer on this list, it's Madison St. from Princeton. And honestly, this one almost feels too clean. She's a 5'10" big guard, average 15.8 a game, can score on cuts, post mismatches, pull-ups, and within a motion offense. That alone makes her interesting. But the bigger thing is where she learned to play, under Taran Barau, a former UConn star, in a smart red-based system that already looks closer to Gino's world than a lot of high-major freelancing offenses. And then there's the transfer logic. Ivy League grad rules mean she has a real basketball reason to leave. That matters because Gino has been crystal clear. He doesn't want random transactional portal moves. He wants a legit reason, a cultural fit, a player who isn't just shopping for a bigger logo. St. Rose checks that box. The counter-argument? She's not AZ-level terrifying as a shooter. She shot well, but she's not walking in as some guaranteed 45% sniper. So if your whole argument is UConn needs pure bombing from deep, maybe she's not your number 1. But if your argument is UConn needs someone who can immediately function in Gino's offense without hijacking it, Madison St. might be the safest high upside call on the board. This is the one that should start arguments in the comments, Taryn Barbot. Because if UConn wants a player who can actually recreate some of that perimeter fear factor, Barbot might be the closest thing on this list. She averaged 20.1 points per game, hit 2.5 threes a night, shot 36.1% from deep, made the All-CAA defensive team, and, this is the giant blinking neon sign, dropped 36 points on Duke in the NCAA tournament, on the road, against a number 3 seed. That is not fake mid-major scoring. That is proof of concept scoring against elite athletes. And the part I love for UConn, she's not just a microwave. She gets steals, pressures the ball, attacks the rim, and gets to the line. That matters because Fudd gave UConn spacing, but Barbot might give them a little more off-the-bounce juice in the late clock situations too. Now here's the pushback. Would Gino trust her decision-making possession to possession? Would the shot dyed it need to get cleaned up? Could she scale from my team's primary engine to part of a precision machine? Those are real questions. But if you're asking me which player on this list could most realistically make fans say, wait, why was UConn never linked to her? It's Barbot, easily. This is where the conversation gets really interesting, because maybe the answer isn't replace AZ with another guard. Maybe the answer is attack the matchup problem that ended UConn's season. Skylar Forbes from Marquette is fascinating. 6'3", led the Big East in blocks at 1.8 per game, averaged 15.5 points, and grew into a legitimate shooter at 34.5% from 3 on real volume. She already knows the league, already knows the physicality, and already proved she won't be intimidated by UConn. Why do I think she's a sleeper? Because pairing Forbes with Sarah Strong could create a nightmare lineup. Length, rim protection, switchability, and enough spacing that you can't just park a big in the lane. Against teams like South Carolina or UCLA, that matters. But Forbes is not a one-for-one AZ replacement stylistically. She changes the geometry in a different way. So if fans want a classic perimeter flamethrower, Forbes might feel like a detour. Then there's Tilda Trygger from NC State, a 6'6", wing forward type with 10.6 points, 7.6 rebounds, and legit range for her size. This is the pure chess piece move. She gives you front court toughness, rebounding, and floor spacing without clogging the lane. She's basically the let's make UConn bigger and harder to bully option. The downside? She's more specialist than headline answer. She's probably not solving every perimeter creation problem by herself, but in a roster building sense, she might be the type of move that makes UConn way more dangerous in March. Okay, if UConn wants to swing for upside, this is the name, Kaylene Smikle. Before the injury interrupted her season, she had already shown high major star scoring ability. We're talking 17.9 points per game in a full season. More than 1,000 career points. And the kind of self-created offense UConn badly missed when possessions bogged down. And let's be honest, that's what makes her tempting. There were moments last season where UConn needed somebody to simply go get a bucket when the system stalled. Smikle can do that, but this is also the risky one. Health is the entire discussion. If she's fully back, she may be the best pure scorer of these 5. If she's not, then UConn just spent a crucial portal slot on uncertainty. Still, this is where Gino's program history matters. UConn has navigated star rehabs before. If they believe in the medical side and the fit side, Smikle is the buy low on elite talent move. That could look genius by January. Here's my board. If you want the cleanest system fit, call Madison St. first. If you want the best why isn't this blowing up nationally scorer, call Taryn Barbot first. If you want to build specifically for the teams that can bully UConn physically, push hard for Skylar Forbes. And I'd keep Trygger in that same conversation. And if you want the boldest ceiling play, it's Kaylene Smikle. But my prediction, the name fans will talk about more a month from now, is Barau. Because the second people really watch that Duke game and realize she's still sitting there as a portal possibility, the conversation changes. Fast. And that's the cliffhanger for UConn. Do they play it safe with a clean cultural fit, or do they chase the player who can most dramatically recreate AZU's offensive pressure? That decision might define whether the Sarah Strong era starts with another Final Four, or with a season where everybody says they were one shooter short. So now I'm throwing it to you. Which path should UConn take? Safest fit, biggest scorer, or biggest lineup problem solver? Drop your number 1 target in the comments and defend it like it's Selection Sunday. Subscribe if you want more women's hoops portal breakdowns that go beyond the obvious names, and I'll be back with another debate video before the portal window slams shut.
Prime Field!